Prologue, The Culling of Shadows, by Travion Rivers. In the kingdom of Vaelor, strength was more than virtue. It was law. The people believed their kings carried the fire of the gods within their veins, a fire that demanded purity, unbroken and untainted. Weakness was a disease of the blood, a shadow that crept into the marrow of dynasties and rotted them from within. To the Vaelorians, a frail child was not a son or daughter. It was a curse, a wound upon the kingdom. Thus was born the ancient rite known as the Culling of Shadows. Whenever a Runt was born into the royal line, the child was condemned, not by trial, not by decree, but by blood. The Runt's siblings would be summoned to perform the act, to cleanse the bloodline of imperfection. It was said that the gods turned their gaze upon this ritual, measuring the worth of a family by their willingness to destroy its weakest link. King Aerod IV was no stranger to this law. He had risen to the throne through blood and iron, a warrior whose sword arm had ended rebellions, and whose crown had been bathed in fire. Yet for all his ruthlessness, he trembled before tradition. For to kill one's own blood directly was to draw the wrath of the gods. The burden must fall upon the brothers. When his youngest son was born, a boy thin of frame, sickly of chest, with a gaze that seemed too sharp for such a fragile body, the whispers began. The midwives did not dare celebrate. Courtiers bowed their heads. Even the queen turned her face away. The child was not spoken of as prince, but as shadow. Aerod decreed the rite. 3 princes were summoned. Prince Culling, the firstborn, stood tall, armored even in youth with discipline and pride. To him, the rite was duty, another weight to carry on the long road to kingship. His face was stone, his heart carved of iron. Prince Darian II came with fire in his blood and hunger in his eyes. He saw the task as triumph, a test of dominance. To him, killing the Runt would be proof of his strength, a chance to etch his name in whispers as merciless and unbreakable. Prince Elric III walked in silence. He bore no armor, no fire, only doubt. His hands trembled as he looked upon the Runt. He wondered if cruelty was strength, if tradition was truth. His heart leaned toward mercy, but mercy was forbidden in Vaelor. The 3 entered the chamber of shadows. What transpired within those walls would never be fully told. Some say Culling faltered, struck first, yet hesitated at the final blow. Others claim Darian's hunger turned to arrogance, blinding him in the dance of blades. Some whisper Elric chose defiance, turning against his brothers in an attempt to save the condemned. But when the doors opened, only one figure stood alive, the Runt. Blood clung to his hands, his chest, his face. His brothers lay silent behind him, pride, fire, and doubt extinguished in a single night. He had not merely survived, he had slain. The court recoiled, the whispers grew. A Runt who killed princes was no child of weakness, but neither was he fit to be called heir. He was something else, something dangerous. The king's rage shook the halls. The law demanded purity, and the Runt had spilled royal blood. To execute him outright would dishonor the gods, who had allowed him to survive where others fell. Yet, to name him prince was unthinkable. And so, King Aerod passed the second sentence of the Culling, exile. Beyond the black border lay a wilderness where men were unmade, forests that whispered with ancient tongues, rivers that glowed with the bones of the dead, beasts said to carry the malice of forgotten wars. No exile had returned whole. Many never returned at all. On the morning of his banishment, the boy was stripped of his name, his crest, his place. He was bound in chains and cast beyond the gates, a shadow sent to join shadows. The city watched in silence. Some cursed him as Kinslayer. Others whispered that he was chosen, spared by divine will. The gates closed behind him, but the story of the Runt did not end at the border. It began there. For in Vaelor the people believed strength was law, and purity was survival. But the exiled prince would come to learn a harsher truth, that the fire of the gods burned not in the bloodline of kings, but in the will of the Forsaken. And one day, the kingdom that cast him out would tremble beneath the shadow they themselves had made.